Today, Monday, 25th November 2024, is a big day for me. At 11 o'clock this morning, 1100 hours, I have an appointment with an ophthalmology medical officer at the Ophthalmology Department, Ophthalmology Clinic of the University of Malaya Medical Center. They're going to do various tests, hopefully OCT, optical coherence tomography, but definitely they'll do a fundoscopy, a split lamp test, and I've been requesting for vision field tests, but they haven't ever done that. Neither have they ever done macular perimetry. So we'll see how good the master student is today. It's a graduate medical officer who is doing a master's course. It's usually a second, third, or fourth year student, a master's student. The master's course is a 4-year course. We'll see how good it is. I'm like a mystery patient. Like supermarkets sometimes have mystery shopper. So I'm a mystery patient. I usually tell the MO, this is your lucky day. And then when they ask why, I said, I'll be assessing you on your chairside manner, on your ability to develop rapport and inspire confidence, and in your professionalism. I'll be assessing you on your ability to ask relevant and pertinent questions. I'll be assessing you on whether you're a good listener, whether you're present or distracted. And if I have to answer your question twice because you weren't listening the first time, then I will fail you. In fact, I have failed many students. I have written to the head of department and the dean of the medical school and copied the vice chancellor and had people who are not fit to be in the course thrown out of the course. Some of them are not even fit to practice medicine, the way they treat me. So this is a very serious matter. It's a job continuity, career-dependent issue for them. Because I don't brook any nonsense, especially from stupid people who tell me that the thickness of my retina is measured in nanometers, which is 3 orders of magnitude from the actual. Actual is micrometers. So these bloody fools, don't know what the fuck they're doing. They got no business practice medicine and got no business inflicting their idiocy onto patients. It's criminal that we allow such people to practice medicine. I think of all the departments I've had to deal with at the University of Malaya Medical Center, ophthalmology is easily the worst. Second is ENT. Urology is good. The best actually has been orthopedic. They're all very well trained. They know what they're doing and they tell me what they're about to do before they do it, I've told one ophthalmology medical officer that I have a phobia about putting things in my eyes. So you have to know how to allay my anxiety. You have to tell me what you're about to do. Don't just simply do. Don't even put the dye in my eye before telling me, or put whatever lah. You must tell me what you can do so that I don't tense up and have anxiety. I have a morbid fear of putting things in my eyes since I was a child. So anyway, on the 13th of November at my optometrist vision space at SS2, Cindy, who is a graduate in optometry from UKM, did an OCT and she found no signs of serum in my choroid layer, in the choroid layer of my retina, which means I have reversed my central serous chorioretinopathy. And I believe this is so because from about 3 weeks or a month now, I haven't had distortions in my vision. So previously with CSC, I used to have words, or when I look at the words, certain characters go missing and the characters on the side will merge, So for example, if I look at the word please, Please, so depending on the angle I look at it, it could appear to me as please, Pleas, or in rare cases, I just see Plea, the S and E go missing. And sometimes the word running, if I misspell it with an M, Runnimg, I see it as running properly spelled. Okay, the M parts of it go missing and it looks like an N instead of an M. And this thing is fleeting. Sometimes it just happens for a few seconds. I blink a few times, it goes away. But the worst is when it lasts for hours and I'm in a panic state because I can't read WhatsApp. I can't do a damn thing because everything looks funny. And I have an Amsler grid, which I look at. An Amsler grid is basically, what do you call it? The square patterns like Cartesian coordinate system lah. Just like you buy this mathematics exercise book, they all come in lines crisscross like squares. But at the center, there's a black dot. So you stare at the black dot and see whether the lines are straight or wavy or whatever. So sometimes I see like optical illusion like that, like white holes, and then depending on how I move my head, the holes will disappear. At first, I thought they were de Moivre diffraction patterns, but basically it's I think they call it geographical hypertrophy or whatever. So this physical distortion of my eyes. So I want this today to have this confirmed that I've reversed my CSC. How I've done it is through Bekam acupuncture and this Ayurveda eye treatment. Now the other thing is the main issue, my photophobia. Now the photophobia is sensitivity to light. In fact, it's hypersensitivity to light, especially sunlight. Indoors is not too bad, but outside sometimes I have to wear double or triple sunglasses. Okay, so and that has its etiology in the low density of photoreceptors in my eyes, in my photoreceptor layer, mostly rods and cones, but also there are other photoreceptors. And one of them does not contribute to vision, but acts as a switch to the hypothalamus to switch on or deactivate cytochrome 450, CYP 450, which is a superfamily of enzymes. It consists of about 20,000 chemicals, 20,000 enzymes, which are required for metabolism. So if these enzymes are deactivated or switched off, which happens after nightfall and before daybreak, when the photoreceptor does not detect blue light of 450 nanometers, then whatever you eat is not metabolized, but is shunted to a different metabolic pathway and automatically stored as fat. Okay, so that's why if you eat after dark, you will get fat. And the reason I suspect why 50% of Malaysians are either overweight or obese is because they are not mindful of when they eat. Not just what they eat, makan pasal sedap, not makan untuk nutrition. Then it's very easy to get overweight and obese, okay? And for Asians, the BMI, the body mass index, is 23. That's the limit for normal weight. Normal is between 18.5 to 23. If you read some textbooks, they'll say it's 25, not 23, but 25 is applicable more to Caucasians. And BMI is just the first cut. You also have to look at things like your body fat percentage, your body water percentage, your body muscle mass, and things like that. So these ones, I consult with Prof. Naha, who's a professor of sports medicine. He has a 57,000 ringgit machine in his clinic, which gives all this for each quadrant of the body. You know, your left arm, left leg, right leg. Whereas for the one I have at home, you know, consolidates for the whole body. Anyway, the one at home I rarely use now, not since August last year, primarily because my vision is you know, too poor to read it. Although it'll Bluetooth the results to my phone, and I can do screenshots, but it's just such a pain for me to look at things with a white background, especially on the phone, which is quite tiny screen. And this has got to do with my sensitivity to light. If I look at WhatsApp or anything, like, you know, try to key in the PIN number on the, you know, if you do PayWave and the amount is more than 450, you have to physically key in the PIN number, and the screen is white background. I can't see a damn thing, can't see any of the numbers, they just disappear. So if I use WhatsApp, I have to use white text on black background in order to read, and even the text, sometimes it's as much as 235% enlargement. But then that cuts out certain features like Instagram. If you put it 235%, you can't copy the link of a particular post. Okay, you have to reduce it maybe 135% or 160 or 190, then the link will appear, you know, because Instagram implementation is very, very poor. Anyway, coming back to ophthalmology, so there's nothing they can do about the mydriasis because the low density of photoreceptors send a weak signal to the brain, and the brain, having received a weak signal, tries to boost the signal by dilating my pupil so that more light comes in and we get a stronger signal. But what happens is the extra light coming in with the dilated pupils overwhelm the photoreceptors, and the signal to noise ratio gets distorted. There'll be more noise, so I just see all white, you know, so the signal is very poor. So wearing the sunglasses, it attenuates the light coming in, and then I can resolve contrast a lot better. But with sunglasses, there's color distortion because, you know, whatever color of a sunglass you wear or tint that you wear, it only allows mostly that frequency that you see in, cuts out everything else. So to get it balanced, there's a neutral gray tints. But to improve contrast, other colors are better. For night vision, it's a light yellow. And for low contrast, gloomy skies, a high contrast lens by Maui Jim would be rose in color. By Zeiss, it's amber. Okay, so under different lighting conditions, I have to wear different color tints to see better. So there's no hard and fast rule. You just have to try and see what works for you, because it's very individualized. It depends on how the degree of the photoreceptors that are missing and whether they are sensitive to whatever frequency of light. So anyway, all these special glasses cost a bomb, thousands, you know. Some of these lenses, you know, like the Tokai blue tint costs 2,000 ringgit. That is not even with power, just the plain tint. And then if you use multifocals, it will set you back at least 1,004. And I've stopped wearing multifocals for years now because I've been improving the power of my lenses, so they get less and less. So there was one time my right eye got it down to 0, no power at all. So I only have correction for astigmatism, but now it's gone back up to 50, which is quite minimal. And the left eye, I got it down to 25. Now it's gone back up to 125. And then for reading glasses, I have to add another 2.5 diopters or 3 diopters, depending. Both seem to work. And what do you call it? I do most of my work on my iPad because the iPhone screen is just too small for me to do anything useful. Although yesterday I did upload raw videos. Yeah, I can update raw videos on my iPhone. That's not an issue. But if I take too many videos, then the battery drains very fast because, phone has a small battery compared to the iPad. Yeah, so there may be some exercises I can do to, to modify the reflex, the pupillary reflex, turn it into like a conditioned reflex. So I'll see whether UMMC has a low vision unit, and if they do, I need to be referred to it. I know UKM has a low vision unit because one of the optometrists I used to go to, YK Leong in Damansara, Jaya, the sister, Miss Leong, used to work until she retired at the low vision unit of UKM. In fact, I'm very grateful to her because she was the first and only person who told me that I was, with my poor vision, eligible to become OKU Penglihatan. All the dungus at UMMC ophthalmology department never told me that my eyesight was so poor that I'm eligible to become OKU Penglihatan. And then for the past 4 years, the dungus there had misdiagnosed me as having age-related macular degeneration. And only 2 appointments ago, they realized their mistake. And the medical officer told me I actually had central serous chorioretinopathy, which thankfully is a reversible condition, and I've reversed that. But for the low density of photoreceptors in my eyes, the best that I can do is Ayurveda and nutrition. So nutrition, you eat orally, and hopefully you get vitamins A, C, and E into the eyes, as well as the antioxidants, which are also plant pigments, lutein and zeaxanthin, into the RPE, the retinal pigment epithelium. It's a layer of the eye above the photoreceptors. Basically, they are natural sunglasses for the photoreceptors to prevent the ultraviolet rays, ionizing ultraviolet rays, to oxidize the photoreceptor layer. Now, lutein and xanthins are plant pigments, and they are found in leafy greens, and they also serve the same function in leaves. They protect the layer that does photosynthesis from the ionizing ultraviolet radiation from the sun. UVA and UVC. UVB is quite beneficial. That's the ultraviolet B band, which falls on your skin, and then under your skin you have adipose tissue, and there's some cholesterol there, and it converts the cholesterol into vitamin D, D for delta. Okay, so eye nutrients coming back. That's vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, and the mineral zinc. Zinc, however, has a very narrow therapeutic window. It is necessary, but if you take too much, then it forms compounds which precipitate and form geoids or drusen. Geoids, like globes, basically precipitate of these compounds. And drusen are basically the inventor or discoverer was a German guy, and he called it drusen, which is a German word for geoids. And basically these are compounds like lipofusin. So from the name you can see lipo, it's some lipid, and glycoproteins. So it's glycerol, which is the old name for glucose, which is one of the monosaccharides, and proteins combined together. So the word lipofuscin means that these are fat-soluble toxins. So in Ayurveda, they use ghee or oils to act as a solvent to remove these toxins. And in the medicine that they pour over the eyes, they are emulsifying agents which make these fat-soluble toxins more water-soluble. And also, the Siddha eye drops that I have produce very waxy eye wax. So sometimes when you have dry eyes, you get granular eye wax, like bits of grit or sand. But these are very waxy. So basically, it produces meibum, meibum, which is a waxy substance. And basically, anything that you excrete from the body are toxins which the body doesn't need. So the more eye wax you have, the less toxins you have in your eyes because the body is getting rid of them. So I'm very happy I had the Siddha eye drops, which was given to me as a surprise. I went to a birthday party on, I think, the 7th. It was a Thursday, 7th of November. And I gave the birthday boy a bottle of my chaat masala, and he happened to have an unopened bottle of, in a box actually, in a vial in a box of the Siddha medicine eye drops. So he gave it to me because he was very grateful. I gave him my chaat masala, which I formulated myself. Actually, the chaat masala is a bit of a misnomer because the active ingredients there are Philanthus emblica, which is the plant, the fruit of the tree, the Malacca tree actually. In Tamil it's called Nelikai, in Sanskrit it's called Amalaki, and the word Malacca is actually derived from a contraction of Amalaki. So anyway, this fruit has the most antioxidants in the whole of the plant kingdom, mostly ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C, but it's also got other stuff in it, a whole bunch of other stuff, including ellagic acid, which you can also find in strawberries, which Dr. William Lee, who's an expert on angiogenesis, says you should eat every day because they stimulate stem cell growth. So hopefully by eating strawberries or dried strawberries or fresh strawberries or what do you call it, fresh buah melaka or the powdered dry fruit, which is also found in triphala. It's one of the main ingredients in triphala, which is an Ayurvedic medicine powder. So it's basically powder, triphala, and two other plant species. But the one from Ayur Center also has licorice in it. So although it's called triphala, it's got 4 ingredients in it. Anyway, in my chaat masala, I put Philanthus emblica, which is the buah melaka, and I also put Valarai, which is the Asiatic pennywort, most commonly known as Pegaga in Malaysia. And I also put the powdered dried leaves of Moringa oleifera, which is Murungai in Tamil, and daun kelo in Malay. In English, they call it the drumstick tree, but I use the leaves rather than the fruit. So these things are very potent in terms of nutrient density and nutrient diversity. So I put it in the chaat masala that I make for myself. And sometimes when I make a batch, because I use so many different ingredients, the batch, could be 1.5, 2 kilos. So I sell the excess to friends, because if I want to eat 1.5 or 2 kilos by myself, 3 years or so won't finish. And to mask the taste, because it's very sour due to the ascorbic acid, very bitter because it's got iron compounds, saponins and tannins and a whole bunch of other stuff. And for example, Pegaga is very bitter, and so is Murungai, daun kelo, and so is what do you call it? Buah melaka. Buah melaka also very sour because of the ascorbic acid. vitamin C, which is a major antioxidant. So anyway, to mask the taste, I put spices, and the spices that I choose are the spices highest in nutritional density and nutritional diversity. Things like cloves, which has eugenol, Ceylon cinnamon, which is one of 20 species that people call cinnamon. So the Cassia genus all are hopeless. They don't contain eugenol. There's a species of cinnamon from Sumatra called the Sumatran cinnamon, which they put in bandrek, which also doesn't have eugenol. So instead of the Sumatran cinnamon or the regular cinnamon you buy in the supermarket, which is a cassia cinnamon, I specifically go and find the Ceylon cinnamon. It has a different species name than cassia. Anyway, yeah, besides that, I put some chili for the capsaicin, which is a vasodilator. So it dilates your blood vessels, bring down your blood pressure, and improve blood circulation that way. And a whole bunch of other stuff, okay, which synergize, or in pharmacology, we call it a potentiate. Although these things are not pharmaceutics as such, they are more food, not even supplements. Anyway, back to eye supplements. Vitamins A, C, E, zinc. So zinc is necessary, but if you take too much, they can form drusen, and that's a classic symptom of age-related macular degeneration. And selenium, we don't have to take much. This is, we're talking in terms of micrograms, not even milligrams, so 1/1,000,000th of a gram. And what do you call it? I read a research paper that says that if you eat 3 Brazil nuts daily for 8 weeks in a row, you can normalize your selenium levels, okay? So selenium is a metal, I think, adik-beradik with zirconium and lithium and whatever else is one of the lighter metals. Anyway, it doesn't get excreted by the body. So once you've normalized, it stays in the body for a long time. Okay, so these things are not my recommendation. There was a study in the US called AREDS, AREDS, which stands for the Age-Related Eye Disease Study. There were 2 ARED studies, ARED 1 and ARED 2. So they recommend the dose for lutein, zeaxanthin, and the vitamins. Okay, so there are supplements for this, and the supplements cost about 140 ringgit for a month's supply by BioLife, which I saw at the pharmacy, at the IGN pharmacy in Wanutama. If money was no object, I'd probably get those, but next best thing is actually to eat food which are high in those nutrients. I also take a swig of Scott's emulsion every morning and every evening, primarily for the vitamin A for the eyes, but also vitamin D for my immunity. My vitamin D levels are about 135, 150, like that. Now, there's a lot of misconception about vitamin D. For some reason, sunlight doesn't cause vitamin D to be produced in my body. The mechanism for doing it is faulty. So if I don't supplement with vitamin D, my level is about 33, which is low. Now, if you look at the reference range, what Unistimulate and in the clinical practice guidelines in Malaysia, they said it should be above 50, whatever the units are, I can't remember. But the world's leading expert on vitamin D, which is Dr. Michael Fitzgerald-Holick of Boston University, he's written like half a dozen books on vitamin D, and I've got all his books. Recommends the reference range should be between 75 to 250. So for me, if the level is about 80, it doesn't work. I don't see a difference. But if it goes up to 115, 135, it works. And in fact, this morning, Tuesday morning, I am going to take my long-acting vitamin D, which is prescribed to me by RUCA, the primary care department of UMMC. RUCA stands for Rawatan Utama Klinik Awam. So basically, it's the primary care or family doctors, those doing masters in family medicine. They would be the MOs there. They are like number 2 or number 3 lah. Sometimes I get good ones, sometimes I get real imbeciles who don't understand the pathophysiology of insulin resistance and try to tell me cock and bull story. They don't even know how metformin works. It's actually a glucagon signaling disruptor. And they're all interested in managing the sugar level when sugar is not the issue. Issue is actually intramuscular cellular lipids, which jam up the insulin receptor sites, rendering insulin ineffective. So instead of recommending patients to have a low-fat diet so that you have less ectopic fat, they try to keep the glycogen in the liver, and when the glycogen, the liver is saturated with glycogen and you keep eating more carbs, the liver, because it's forced in there, forcibly kept in there because of metformin. Metformin, it disrupts glucagon. Glucagon is produced by the alpha cells of the pancreas, and its function is actually to instruct the liver to release glucagon when there's energy demand into the bloodstream, to release glycogen into the bloodstream, and it releases glycogen in the form of glucose. So glycogen is actually a polysaccharide. It's one of the few animal starches. It's basically glucose molecules zipped together to form a huge molecule. It's more efficient to store it that way. So by disrupting glucagon signaling and keeping the glucose in the liver as glycogen, over time the liver gets saturated with glycogen, and because you keep eating more, or every day you keep eating, and if you don't burn up the glucose, and you can't burn it because the glucose can't get into the cells because the insulin receptors are blocked by these IMCLs. Think of the insulin as the key and the insulin receptor cells as a keyhole, and then in that analogy the IMCLs are chewing gum, blocking up the keyhole so that the insulin can't open the glucose pathway into the cells. Now the glucose pathway into the cells also very complicated. There are 9 steps in the process, each with its own necessary and sufficient conditions, and they have to happen sequentially, and you need things like coenzymes, chromium, and all sort of things to be present before this reaction can take place. So these MLM buggers will force you to buy chromium supplements, and if you look at the chromium supplements, it's like 20 micrograms per tablet. So one tablet would weigh like maybe 2 grams. So 20 micrograms is like a little bit. So most of the tablet you're buying is buffer, and you can get chromium by eating root vegetables, because chromium is, it's a mineral found in the soil. So if you eat, things made with organic compost, you'll get chromium, because the organic compost is made from plant material, and the plants also need chromium to get glucose into their cells. So if you eat, it's just recycling the chromium if you eat food that's grown in organic compost rather than chemical fertilizers. In fact, if you look at plant cells, all plant cells have calcium as a necessary component, because it's required for the structure of the plant cell walls. So eating any plant material, you'll get calcium. It's not necessary for you to eat cheese or drink milk, okay? But of course, some plant cells have more calcium than others. So mostly the beans have. So if you drink soy milk, you'll get your calcium. You don't have to drink cow's milk, which has issues, because of cow hormones and antibiotics injected into the cows, and as well as the exogenous hormones injected in the cows so that they produce an economically viable quantity of milk daily, which is 20 liters, whereas without the injections, they produce about 2 liters. So the udders of the cows are 10 times larger than they are meant to be, which makes them very swollen, sensitive, and causes pain to the cow. Okay. Anyway, so today's a big day. I'm going to take my vitamin D supplement now, and I'll report back after my consultation with the MO. I hope today I get someone who's in the 90% percentile of his or her cohort rather than a dungu lah. If I get a dungu, the world will know about it, and I'll make sure it's a job continuity, career dependent issue for them, because if you're a dungu, you got no business treating patients, let alone practicing medicine. But if you're good, then I will tell the world. And normally I try to get their MMC registration number. They won't be on the specialist register because they're not qualified as specialists yet, but MMC maintains a registry of all people qualified to practice medicine. And I know the person in charge, Dr. Tunku something. I got his number. They're based in near Tanglin Hospital, the Malaysian Medical Council. And if they do anything unprofessional or negligent, the MMC will know about it, and so would the head of department, the dean of the medical school, and I'll copy the vice chancellor. And for added measure, I'll copy the Minister of Higher Education, so that things like this don't get swept under the carpet. I promised to make a formal complaint about the staff nurse Saraswati, and this one was so ironic because Saraswati means goddess of knowledge, but she's such a dungu, it's such an inappropriate name for that cow, I tell you. Anyway, I haven't made it because I've run out of toner, and these HP printers, the toners cost almost 300 ringgit, which I'd rather spend on my Ayurveda treatment. 300 ringgit, I can do 2 Ayurveda treatments. I've also run out of paper. And the last time I bought paper was like 14 ringgit a ream. Now it's 18, 20 ringgit a ream. And then there's some Chekai companies that one ream they put 450 sheets. It's standard around the world. One ream is 500 sheets. But these Chekai Malaysian companies shortchange you 10%, and then they charge 18 ringgit instead of 20. And most people think, this one cheaper. Actually, it's the same price. They just sell you a lesser quantity. The unit price is the same. Things have been hard for me in terms of cash flow. I've had unexpected expenses, and I'm really grateful for all the donations and voluntary contributions you've made every day. I thank you guys for it, and I pray that the Lord Almighty rewards you many times over. In Malay, you said you dapat pahala. In other religions, they say it's merit making. So I really appreciate your contribution. I ask people to donate voluntarily, donate whatever you can afford. If you donate even 1 ringgit, I accept. I don't make a judgment, because if 1 ringgit is all you can afford, that's all you can afford, If you can't donate anything at all, it's not necessary to give excuses, because I'm not in the excuse collection business. I'm in the results business. So if you can't, that means you need 1 ringgit more than I do, so keep it, And if you have disposable income or monthly income, do not donate more than 5% of your monthly income. And to know why, there's a whole methodology about money management by T. Harv Eker called the 6 Jars Money Management System. So you just do a search on YouTube and you'll get lots of videos of T. Harv Eker. Actually, he's sort of retired now. His son has taken over. So most of the talking head is by his son. I can't remember his name. Okay, I better stop now and prepare myself for my treatment.